So I went through burnout a couple of years ago, and I kind of thought that I would be at a different place by now, and I am better. I've recovered, but I'm still feeling very lost, and that's not the usual story you hear online about people that quit their jobs or kind of like change their lives. I quit my job, and it did change my life in the sense that it made me realize that I didn't really want to be suffering at work. I did learn a lot of things, and I actually recently found a Google Doc where I would kind of brain dump and just write everything that went through my head. And I actually found a lot of things to be very useful. I found that I wrote that I had learned a bunch of things, and I was just so surprised that I had forgotten all of those lessons I learned. So I guess that making this video is like my attempt at making those lessons more present for myself. Like I am repeating this for myself, for my future self. Maybe saying things out loud, it's like it'll do something in my brain, and I will integrate these lessons in a more real and durable way. Because even though like I know my logical mind knows a bunch of things that I learned after going through burnout, it's like my being, my gut, I don't know, hasn't actually integrated them. And I haven't yet. I don't believe them yet. So the story is that I was at my last job for about 5 years, and about a year and a half before I went on medical leave, no, that's not a year and a half. Well, sometime before I burnt out, before I was like officially on medical leave because of how stress had impacted my body, I started getting really weird symptoms. And why am I sharing this? Because I think it's important that we differentiate. Well, I think it's important, I don't know. To me, it is important and relevant to make a distinction between being overworked and being, like very tired from having to like finish a project, and actual burnout. Because burnout actually begins way earlier than one thinks, and it ends way later than one would like the thing to end. So it's not just being tired, it's not just being overworked, it's like a disease of your mind and body. In my case, it started manifesting with really weird symptoms. My tongue would go numb. So I would be working or having a conversation. I could even be at home, and my tongue would start going numb. I felt like a very weird tingling, and well, this freaked me out because I knew that some neurological conditions and diseases manifest with tingling and parts of your body going numb. So I was really freaked out, and I went to the doctor and got a bunch of tests, and everything came back normal. And they told me, this is probably stress, You need to rest, you need to take things easier. But the thing was that I couldn't. I had a very damaged relationship with my job. And I was also having insomnia for like a year before I left my job. I had insomnia. So I did get some sleep, but I had a huge sleep debt, and it really messed me up. I gained weight. I felt horrible. I mean, I was irritable. I couldn't think clear, and like the stress of not getting enough sleep actually made me get less sleep. So there was that. So yeah, basically my body started giving me signals and signs and warning signs a long time before I actually decided to act on them. And it was because I was very stressed. I was not enjoying my work. I had a new boss who had an energy that wasn't compatible with mine, kind of a toddler energy that I didn't know how to deal with. I had a bunch of projects being dumped on me. They were way above my pay grade, and I still did them, and the results were great. But I did them without any experience and with very little support, and that took a toll on me. I would bring my work home. I would work until 10, 11 p.m. simply because I figured if I am not working on this until right before it's time to go to bed, this project is not going to exist. Like, I am going to fail. And I didn't have any support, any help from anyone else. So basically, it wasn't an option to not finish the projects. So I was bringing my work home. I had insomnia, and I had gotten into a couple of bike accidents. I used to bike to my job. It was, each way was about 40 minutes on a bike, which could be very nice. But I live in a city where people are very stressed and traffic is kind of awful. So it was a bit stressful, but it was way nicer than being in the metro. But I was so sleep deprived that by the end I thought, I am putting my life in danger by being sleep deprived and on a bike, because I wasn't really alert. And the couple of accidents I got into, it's impossible for me to say they were due to insomnia. But I mean, of course, it has to play a role. And by the end, I really felt like I was in danger. So the insomnia thing was one of the first signs that I was, because it wasn't like a transitory thing. It really lasted for like a year. And that was like one of the first things that made me see the doctor. So they gave me some stuff to like recover. Oh, I did something wrong here. They gave me some medicine so I could like sleep for a weekend and kind of recover, and then that was before the whole tongue thing. But then like I would be okay, and then a week later I would be back at the same place as I was before the medicine, and so it would go on like this, right? Like I would recover for a little bit and then think, oh, okay, I'm good, I'm done, I just needed some sleep. And then I would be back at work with all this stress and think, and everything would come back to square one. So these symptoms, like it's called paresthesia. when you feel like things are going numb or you have tingling, they started to get worse because I was so scared of like of it being like a neurological disease that the tests hadn't detected. And I was so scared of like my tongue being weird when I was in a meeting or with people at work that that stress made everything worse. It exacerbated the symptoms, and they actually started to like pop up all around my body. So I would like half of my face would go numb, or I would feel tingling. My hands will like fall asleep, you know, like when you sleep in a weird position and blood flow doesn't reach your limbs. I would get that feeling in my hands without doing anything. I wasn't like on the computer or using my hands. I could be like reading a book or just I don't know, walking around even. Once like half of my body started like became really cold, and I had tingling all over one side of my body. Anyways, and it was horrible. And of course I Googled, and Google, this was before chatbots, right? Google told me that I had a degenerative disease, probably. And so that made everything even worse. I started getting health anxiety. And yeah, it was just like a very horrible spiral. What I figured today that I had forgotten was that the body knows things. Knows, right? I don't know which word to use. Like, the body reacts to things sometimes before the intellect does. So your body and your mind are connected, right? And there's parts of your brain that connect, of course, to your body. And for example, right now I am crocheting, doing some crochet. And I've done this for years, so I don't have to like think about the movements. I have developed a practice, and it's not only my hands, but like the part of my body, of my brain that oh well, look at that, another mistake. The part of my brain that is in charge of my hands has learned something, and it's automatic, so there doesn't need to be an effort. And the part of my body that thinks, that speaks, that writes, that does more logical operations, is not really linked to the muscle memory of the crochet. So that's why I can kind of have a conversation and speak and have ideas and try to communicate a message while also doing this with my hands. So not everything happens in the same part of your brain. And burnout for me kind of started in the part of my brain or my mind that deals with the body. It started in the body. My body was sending me signals because it didn't want to be where it was. It didn't want to work there. And even though when you're unhappy at work, it's like a logical thing you say to yourself, or like a thing that you communicate with language, the stress response happens at first in the body. So, you know, when you're like, you hear an explosion or someone screaming, or yeah, like your senses like detect something, and then you have an immediate response. Some people call this like fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. and you felt that, right? Like you get like a rush of adrenaline, you're ready to like jump or run away or hide. That's a bodily stress response. And so the stress that I was feeling at work began in my body. Of course, I had mental stress and psychological stress, and I was unhappy. But the reaction in the body had already begun. And that is really, like, for me, it's very important to remember, because sometimes I kind of like try to think myself out of discomfort or yeah, things that just don't sit well. I am a very mental person. I've always been. I have a lot of Gemini energy. And so I forget the body. So part of recovering from burnout has been returning to the body and listening to the body. Because burnout is like a domino effect. And you start to lose things. At first, you kind of, like in my case, I lost passion for what I was doing. Then I started losing respect for my bosses. I lost my self-esteem. And little by little, it all kind of accumulates in a way that when you notice it, it's already kind of late. And you cannot recover in like a short period. So, of course, needless to say, I was feeling a lot of shame because I worked in arts and culture and I had a job. I am a foreigner here where I live. And so when I got the job, I couldn't believe it. I kind of have imposter syndrome. So at first I thought like, oh my God, they're gonna find out I don't know anything. I had little faith in myself. So like there was a lot of insecurity even at the beginning when I was happy with my job. And then when I saw my doctor in the end and she told me you should actually take a long time off, I ended up being on medical leave for like 3 months. I felt so ashamed and I felt so weak because we had gone through COVID and we have lived through COVID as a society. And I had seen like medical professionals and people in the healthcare industry, healthcare professions, actually burning out and actually being completely saturated and like putting other people's well-being before theirs and like really sacrificing themselves. And I thought, oh, I am burning out in my cute little contemporary art job. This is insane. Like, what is wrong with me? I shouldn't be feeling this way. So that's kind of another of the early obstacles, thinking like, why am I burned out? I don't work at a hospital. I don't work taking care of other people. I don't work as a therapist. I am not a firefighter. I am not at war. I am not in the government, like. But it happened. It happens anywhere when there's like the perfect storm of like conditions and situations that converge. So, in my case, it was like the combination of my anxiety and my self-doubt and the loss of purpose that I felt and the loss of connection that I felt with the place I was working at. And also an element of toxicity there. So today I need to remember that I didn't leave my job because my boss was awful, or there's not one reason. It had to do with like the combination of things. the way I work, the way I see work, and doing a good job and creating good projects wasn't compatible with the way they saw it. And, I mean, conditions where I worked were fine, but it is in the arts and culture world, and people who are in like managerial positions at these places, kind of unconsciously maybe, I don't know, let's be kind and say it's unconscious, they kind of take advantage of the fact that people below them are like passionate about art and just happy to be there and to be in contact with artists and exhibitions, and the thing is that justifies a load of work that is untenable, and it justifies being underpaid. And in my case, it was not only that, but the fact that I was not from here and that they were giving me this opportunity. So I was like, of course I'll accept. Well, this is kind of all over the place what I'm saying. The main point is, what I learned was that it's important to pay attention to the body, because stress responses begin in the body. And also, you need to like remind yourself of this constantly, because our culture and the way we view work kind of goes against the basic idea of paying attention to your body and acting accordingly, like to the state of your body. So we are taught to like manage time, but all time is not created equal. Not all time is the same. You should actually manage your energy, like harness your energy for your projects, instead of like filling every single tiny slot of time that you have available in your calendar, which was something that my boss did. If she you know how you can share your calendars with your coworkers, she would see I had half an hour between things, and she would tell me, we need to have a meeting right now about this and this. And I was like, what? But my brain is trying to recover from this first thing I did, or trying to, settle down. That half an hour is free there because it looks available on my calendar, because it's free time that I need to take notes or just take a breather between things. So yeah, that's a good thing that one must remember. Not all time is created equal, and it's better to focus on properly using the energy you have available. That doesn't mean you're like always resting or not working, or it just means that you observe yourself and you learn what you need. You learn you need to fuel first. Like a car. You charge your car, you put gas in a car for it to be able to take you places. And you eat and you hydrate and you sleep before you run a marathon. So the energy has to come first. You're not supposed to like use all your available time and energy sprinting and doing things and then rest, as if rest were a reward. It's the other way around. It's such a basic idea, but we don't really, I don't know. Society doesn't work that way, sadly. So I have learned to take care of myself. I eat better. I do strength training. Lifting weights got rid of all the pain that wouldn't go away after I had those bike accidents. It's really, I mean, I don't know if anyone is here for advice, but strength training took all of my pain away. I'm 37 and I started getting aches and pains, and I would do physical therapy and sometimes yoga, acupuncture, etc. It would be temporary, but once you strengthen your muscles, chronic pain goes away. Chronic pain related to that, to like a small trauma or lack of movement. A lot of people get aches and pains because they spend like, I don't know, 8 hours a day sitting down in front of a computer or doing crochet. So you need to strengthen your muscles, people. That was a weird tangent. What? Oh yeah, so I learned to like take care of my body and I feel better, but I'm still lost. I have taken up new things. I am a creative person. I initially went to school for literature and then art, but I was so scared of not making it, and I was so insecure that I went into jobs that were kind of related to what I loved. You know, I worked in art galleries and museums, but I wasn't doing the thing that I wanted to do, which was create things and express the way I wanted to express. Like, I have multiple art practices, and some things come out in simple crochet projects. Others are photographic projects. Others are ceramics. But I was kind of scared. I still am. But so that's why I went into kind of more traditional jobs at cultural places. And I have learned to put a bit less pressure on myself. You will notice, you have noticed already, English is not my first language, and I don't really speak English that much lately, so I suck with the use of prepositions. But yeah, so I have learned to like be kinder to myself and just create things, because sometimes they are big projects that I'm gonna show or sell. Sometimes they're just things that I do as if they were therapy, and they calm me down, they help me think. I'm just still trying to figure out how to remember what I've learned and not make the same mistakes. Although, you know, I think that being okay is a practice. It's like, you know, people who meditate. My partner meditates. He's a very serious meditator. He meditates like at least 40 minutes every day, and has been doing so for years. And it's part of his spiritual practice. But some people just meditate without a spiritual practice. And you don't get good at meditation like you get good at like crochet or drawing or a new language. You need to practice. The point is to always practice the thing. I mean, you can get better at learning Italian, and you can be completely fluent, and you can, I don't know, pass an exam that gives you a certificate for a certain level of Italian. But you're always learning. And if you leave Italy and you stop speaking Italian, you'll forget. It will come back if you practice. Meditation is kind of, I don't know, maybe that, you know what, maybe that's not a good example. But it is a practice. You come back to it. The point is not to like have a perfect meditation session and say like, okay, I did it. I can meditate for 60 minutes without any thoughts. I don't even know if that's a thing, but you know, that's not the point. There's no goal. Being okay is a practice. You just show up every day. Like brushing your teeth or working out. You do it every day. There's no, I mean, it's impossible for you to say, okay, I brushed my teeth so well today. They are finally clean and they'll be forever clean. You know, like you need to just brush your teeth every day. More than once. And you need to practice new languages every day. And you need to strength train, well, not every day, but most days. Your body is never done. You're never like at the perfect shape. Check, I'm done. No, you need to like maintain it. And your mind, with your mind, it's the same. With being okay, it's just the same thing. If you want to be okay, you just need to practice the thing over and over. And it looks different for everyone. And I guess that for me, I'm still figuring out what it looks like exactly. Because I don't really have a project to like financially support myself. Thankfully, I live in a country where a bunch of my taxes go to my unemployment fund. So I've been living off that. Not without shame, of course, and guilt. But anyways. But I need a project. I need to define what I really want to do and what I am capable of doing and what I can do well. And I suspect it is not going back to a job in a museum or at an agency where the culture is toxic and I just kind of survive in order to be able to work, in order to survive, in order to be able to go to work. Something else has to be possible. And this past weekend, I was caught in a doom spiral. I was jet lagged and I had a cold and I was alone at home and I spiraled. And that's when I found the things I had written 2 years ago already. Unbelievable. And I thought, I should really remember these things. And it's impossible for me to like read them every day. Should I print these things and like hang them around the apartment? I don't know. Also, something else that I wrote down that I liked. I'm gonna read that actually. I wrote, small steps lead to big changes. Duh. It is not possible to begin with the big picture already resolved. You have to act and things will eventually motivate you. Motivation comes from doing, not before. It's really quite hard to be motivated from the start. Again, that's like such a basic thing, but I don't know, do we know that as a society? Do I actually believe that? I feel like my logical mind knows this, but my heart hasn't integrated it. Like, I don't believe it yet. Sometimes you're motivated at the beginning of a thing because the idea or the promise, it's really exciting, but then you're not gonna keep that excitement at the same level for long. So You should actually keep doing the thing, and that is what gives you motivation. Anyways, this is for my future self. It is February 7th, 2026, and I wrote that in January 2024. Insane. This is a stitch I found on a blog that's called Nordic Hook. This is nothing. I was just craving crochet and to do something with my hands because I don't have enough yarn for this to become anything other than a little meditation or therapeutical project. But I do love the stitch. This is 100% wool. It was the last little ball that I found in the store, so I either find the same type of yarn in a color that works with this one, or I don't know, I just leave it as is. I don't know. This could be a project, like if this amount of yarn could make like a small headband or something like that, but I don't really wear those. Or maybe like baby, oh good, look, a mistake. Maybe like baby socks, baby, like little, how do you call those in English? Chaussons. Small slippers for babies, but this wool is really kind of raw. It's soft, but maybe itchy for a baby's feet. Anyways, those are my thoughts today. I don't know what I'm doing with this video, but it felt good. If anyone's watching and you feel burnt out, you feel that there's like this domino effect going on, you are losing your sense of purpose, you are not enjoying your work, you are overworked, your body's giving you weird signals, please take care of yourself. This is not a selfish thing to do. In order for things to work, you have to function. In order for the car to start, it needs fuel. It's very basic. We are way more complex than cars. But like, you know, like the tool, the thing that is doing the work, the human organism needs to be healthy, body and mind. It needs to function. And when you are aligned with your job, when you have time for yourself and for leisure, but also to like just recharge yourself, you work better. Humans want to work and have meaning and feel useful. And that looks differently for everyone, but in order to be useful and have purpose, you need to function. And you need to be able to take care of yourself first. Anyways, that's kind of my first lesson. And I guess that if I build on top of that, I'll eventually find a new path. Because I have been doing a lot of things, but they are all over the place. As I said, I have a lot of Gemini energy. And that is not because I'm like a woo-woo crazy. People are so mean to people who use astrology. But it's just a vocabulary. It's a tool that through archetypes and images that are present in so many cultures across history and the world, it helps you untangle yourself. It helps you understand your challenges. It helps you understand other people, how people function, how you function in groups and in society. And I am very Gemini in the sense that I am not a specialist. I am like a little bee jumping from flower to flower, from art practice to art practice, from intellectual pursuit to the next, and that is not something that is appreciated in this country or in Western society in general. And understanding that, using that vocabulary has been helpful for me because I accept myself, but I also see where my blind spots are and what is my main challenge. So yeah, that's why I speak of Gemini energy, though everybody has Gemini in their chart. I think I'm gonna stop right here and say again, take care of yourselves, do strength training, prioritize sleep, and please try doing things with your hands. The internet is very scary, but there's also so much available. You can learn anything online and just make things for yourself. Just make things with your hands. It's actually like a human need. Right. Bye.